Hello, I'm Adriani Loizidu and I'm the editor-in-chief of 4i magazine, and we are live from Dublin Tech Summit. I have with me today Jody, Glidden, the CEO and co-founder of Introhive. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a bit about your background and how you came up with the idea of Introhive?
Yeah, sure. I've been doing tech startups for enterprise since the early 90s. So first a company called scholars.com, which we sold to CBT Systems. Then a company called IC Global, which we sold to Skillsoft, which is based here in Dublin. And then a company called Chalk Media, which we sold to Blackberry in 2008, and then this one. During my time at Blackberry, I kind of noticed that the CRM didn't really have all the data that people needed in order to know really who knew who and how well they knew them. And I just got this idea about how if you could really look and understand all of the email traffic and meeting traffic and phone traffic, you could really tell who really knows who and how well they know them, and that would unlock a whole lot of really interesting use cases. So that's really how it all came about.
What does Introhive do?
It has evolved a lot. Originally, it was just a system that would analyze all of the enterprise's data and help build a big relationship graph so that they could cut out the cold calling and use a lot more warm relationships. And it's evolved so much further than that, because now we are able to help a firm and help a sales team monitor all of the relationships and do things like alert people when people are ignoring a client, or letting a salesperson know when there's an executive that can help them tip over a deal because they might happen to have a relationship there, and a whole bunch of other use cases.
You mentioned that the company has almost 400 people. How does it feel about managing such a number and accommodating all people's working needs?
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's very easy to understand what the priorities are and make sure they're communicated well when you have 20, 30, 50 people. But when you have 400, it gets a lot down to having really good processes and really good communication. And so we use a process, for example, called OKRs, where we spend a lot of time being very meticulous about understanding what are the priorities that we really want to drive for the next quarter and for the year, and how do we want to measure that, and then just aligning everybody behind it, and then everybody kind of trickles down and figures out, well, what can I do to move those objectives forward? Then we spend a lot of time just communicating and doing all hands and team meetings and things like that. That's part of the job. The other part is inspiring people and making people understand that their work matters and that we're really doing something that improves people's lives.
How does Introhive help companies to have their CRM data in order?
So one of the great things about the communication systems is that it doesn't lie. If somebody sends an email to somebody or somebody makes a phone call to somebody, you have an absolute record. It doesn't rely on somebody going to the CRM then and typing it in. So one of the ways that we make it better is that we're in the flow of the actual communication, and we can put the data automatically in the CRM and we get it right. And so it's, we say TAC, it's timely, accurate, and complete. It makes a huge difference in the quality of data. Usually when we go in and talk to a customer and we audit the quality, it's usually around 60 to 65% accurate. And then when we, the data that we're putting in is more like 90% accurate. So it's a massive difference.
Yes, exactly. Do you think GDPR legislation is effective? Are there any changes that should be made?
GDPR is actually a huge improvement from where we were. It was the Wild West out there. I think one of the next things that would be most important would be actually making sure that it's enforced, because when enforced, it actually is a great tool. But what I see quite often is that there's companies out there that are not GDPR compliant and they just claim that they are. And that can be kind of dangerous. So we go through pretty rigorous processes in SOC 2 and all these sorts of things to sort of prove it, and penetration testing and all those other sorts of things that help protect people's privacy and security as well.
And what is the next event the company is attending?
We have 2 or 3 events every week. We do a lot of micro events.
So you're very busy with events.
Yeah. We just did a customer summit in Nashville last week, and but the next really big one we're doing is Dreamforce. We're gonna do Dreamforce in a really big way this year. We have some exciting kind of unusual ways of doing it, some surprises and stuff that we want to do at Dreamforce. So we're really looking forward to that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.